This topic is on last mile. So this topic, so the topic of webinar is last mile preparation for UPSC prelims examination. You might know that Wiley is into various higher education and test prep products. We are into education for quite long, and I'm really delighted to announce that we are going to come into UPSC segment as well with this test prep series. So and we want to have some opinion and some feedback, and we want to know about the journey of different UPSC sprints. So we are bringing this platform to you, to ask question and you solve your doubts, whatever you have related to UPSC prelim examinations. So I encourage you to write your questions and whatever doubts you have in the chat box. We will take all your questions during Q&A session. So Abhishek sir, he's the superintendent of police of Shamli district in Uttar Pradesh. He's basically born and brought up in Bihar, and he has done his basic education and schooling from Bihar itself. Then for higher education, he moved to NIT Calicut. There he pursued his higher education in computer science and engineering till 2010. Then he had a brief stint at D Shaw 2010, and then he moved to Delhi for UPSC preparation in 2011. And in 2013, he cleared UPSC examination. He got selected in Indian Railway Services. And in 2014, again, he cleared UPSC examination, and he cleared, Indian Police Services, and he chose to serve as IPS under Indian Police Services. And till then, for 7 years, he has been serving in the UPS in the Indian Police Services only, and he has been posted at various locations such as Ayodhya, Agra, Aligarh, and Gautam Budh Nagar in different capacities. And presently, he is the SP of Shamli district in Uttar Pradesh. So now I am really delighted to have you, sir, and share your views on for the preparation for the different aspirants, and they will be really excited to know about your journey. So I'm sharing the stage for you so that you can share your views to the students. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vinod. First of all, I'm really excited to be here, and I would like to thank the entire Wiley team who organized this webinar. This is again a benefit of technology now that you can host such seminars. It's been almost 7 years into the service, and more than 10 years since I first started my preparation. I would like to acquaint the aspirants that I took 3 attempts. My first attempt, it was not so successful. I qualified prelims, but I did not clear the mains examination. In the later 2 attempts, I was selected. I was in the final list. One, as you mentioned, as in railways, and finally in Indian Police Service, where I chose to eventually stay. Now, I would like to inform the basic structure. First, I would like to share whatever my views are on how to go about the subjects in a brief, and then how to go about current affairs and the subjects which are not so conventional in nature, and then how to go about any test series, what is its importance, and finally a few other miscellaneous things which I believe I experienced as an aspirant, and I would like the aspirants to know. Ultimately, obviously, it is their call. So if we see the subjects, basically you have history and culture, geography and polity, which I would like to say are the conventional subjects. Economy for me is more a dynamic subject. It's partially conventional and partially current affairs oriented, a very dynamic subject, one of my favorites, I would say. And then you have science and tech, you have environment. Environment has recently attained importance because the prelims is it is used for selecting both civil services aspirants as well as forest service aspirants. And I mean, again, they are also civil servants, but if I'm not wrong, the mains examination was conducted separately. And finally, about current affairs. So when I go about the conventional subjects, whether it is history, whether it is geography, whether it is Indian polity, they are well-established subjects. And I believe the aspirants should choose their, books carefully. I mean, since we are hosting a webinar for last mile prelims, I believe they would have already done it. So what I expect is you go through them thoroughly. You have, you आपके पास आपके notes properly होने चाहिए. आपको timely और thoroughly उसको revise करना है, because they are a huge asset. You have 6 or 7 components in the prelims, so you almost have a, a fair division among them. The year-on-year basis, they might shift towards a particular subject. Say, for example, I was just going through the last year prelims paper. I saw that the history questions were comparatively large in number. But again, if you see 100 questions, you can expect that, all right, I can have 10 to 15 questions. Or if the examiner wants to give importance to a particular subject this year, he might say ask up to 20 questions from a subject. Usually, I don't see a bigger deviation than that. So I believe that those subjects, what you have read, you should be thorough with it. Those books, you have to go through them again and again. At least that is your USP. You should not be faltering on conventional questions, which are relatively easy to answer. Even if you see a fact which you might not remember correctly, you might be able to recognize that, okay, I have read it somewhere. Probably this is the correct statement, or this is a wrong statement. Then even culture, I believe that while I was writing the my prelims, culture was relatively a new subject which UPSC had started emphasizing from the last couple of years. But since then, I mean, it has evolved over time, and there are good materials available. There are good websites, even government websites like Center for Cultural Resources and Training, CCRT is the short form. So that website is there. You can go through, almost everything is there. And I believe that if an aspirant has gone through it religiously, I mean, it might not be easy to memorize everything for a science aspirant, because I am a science aspirant, so I can say that it was a bit factual for me. But again, a person from humanities background might be able to analyze and relate to it comparatively easier as compared to what I experienced. So that gives you confidence. Say, for example, you have you write a test, you see that there are 5 questions related to culture. If you are able to answer 3 or 4 of it, then that gives you a confidence boost. Similarly, for geography and polity, the base is always NCRTs. If you are choosing some other reference book or some other material, nothing wrong with it, but you should be confident enough that you are able to answer, that you don't have like 50% questions out of the blue when you try to answer a test series. Or when you see the last 5 or 10 year question papers, it's not like you are not able to recognize at least 50% of the topics. Then you might have an issue with the reference book. But generally, I have seen that NCRTs give you a fair preparation. You might as well go for other reference books, whatever you are comfortable with. Then so that was about the conventional part. Now,
sorry to interrupt, sir. So you are saying like different websites and the notes that somebody has prepared and the NCRT and some basic reference books are sufficient to crack the UPSC examination, especially when it comes to prelims examination, right?
I believe that basic reference books are a must. Notes, I believe that conventional papers, I have not seen people making notes. I might have misspoken there, but I have not seen. Usually, I mean, say for example, I am studying polity. There is one book, usually 1 or maximum 2 books which you are going to study. So I mean, unless you are attending classes at a coaching institution, usually you're not going to make notes for that. Okay. Because again, the subject matter is so huge, you have to choose what you have to spend your time upon. So I mean, if you have gone through the book a few times, you can revise the book. Like my reference book, I was able to revise it in 6 hours, the whole book for polity.
Okay.
So but again, I mean, I needed 3 attempts. I pray for the aspirants that someone qualifies it in the first attempt. So still, I mean, that 6 hours can translate into 10 hours, 12 hours, but that's all right. That's absolutely fine. So shall I proceed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. So the next part I would like to emphasize upon, one of them is current affairs. Current affairs has a fair weightage. Last year, if I'm not wrong, there were around 25 questions based upon current affairs. So again, there are some basic drills which do not change. There are newspapers, there are magazines which you are going through. I mean, everybody has a different favorite magazine. Mine also evolved over time. I would not like to name them, but it evolves gradually as you know your knowledge repertoire improves. The magazine which you prefer, that also gradually changes with time. So I'm not expecting that an aspirant who has just come for preparation might be studying a different magazine than someone who is taking his second attempt, or someone who has attended some classes and he's 6 or 8 months into his preparation. Now, one thing I expect is that whatever facts you come across, I do not expect people to simply mug up the facts. The first thing you remember is that you are always preparing for mains. Your ultimate aim is to be in the list. So you are always preparing for mains. So any fact which you believe that I should know this, you should also know that where can I put this? Say, for example, I do not expect you to simply know that, okay, the GDP of India is 250 lakh crores. I expect you to know that, okay, where does it stand among the GDP of other countries? So that way you can compare. You can have a comparison. So I do not expect you to mug up raw facts, especially for UPSC examination, right? The second thing is that whatever incidents you study, whatever policy matters come, first you should have a thorough analysis. And by analysis, I mean you have to pick up keywords, right? So I'll just give an example why I'm saying this. I was looking at the last year's question paper, and there was something very interesting about it. Now, there was a question where they have asked, like, what is the term levant? They have asked the term levant. It is often heard in the news, and they have asked what reason does it belong to. Now, a good aspirant must not only know the answer, but he must know why this question has been asked. Now, the term levant, it has mostly been in news because of terrorism, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL. So anybody who has studied about ISIS or ISIL, the first thing which you will do is, okay, I don't know about its history. There is something in the news about ISIL. Let's have a brief look at its background, say through Wikipedia or some other website. You have umpteen sources available on the internet, and you are expected to know what is the Levant. That is why they have asked the question. This is not an out of the blue, a random question. They expect you to be curious enough. So that is one approach I strongly emphasize in current affairs, that you need to have to be able to predict what might people I mean, if you are good enough with gradually with experience, you might be able to answer such questions quite easily, that okay, I had expected this, I had studied this. And you might not, you're not expected to again mug up that, okay, these are the countries in this, but when you see the options, you will recognize that, okay, I have come across this, I know probably this is the answer, these three cannot be the possible answer, so this is the correct answer. Similarly, just 1 second.
Sir, should we sorry to interrupt you again. So should we consider current affairs and budget and economy survey as part of each other, or should we give separate importance to budget and economy survey?
I'll come to that. Economy, I mean, see, budget, you're definitely supposed to know where you stand, because again, there you have to know the basics of budget. You are expected to know that what is revenue expenditure, what is capital expenditure, and what are the sources there. They used to have earlier planned and non-planned expenditure. They have changed. They have let go of that after recommendations of a few committees in the last few years. And you can see that, I mean, it's been, I think, 4 or 5 years probably that they have scrapped that that classification. But I believe that economic survey is something which is to be thoroughly studied. There is nothing wrong if you are going with an abridgment, but the abridgment should be good. What I mean is, when I used to see that there were many abridgments available in the market even at that time, but they were more oriented towards the facts than the keywords or than the policy matters which are supposed to be highlighted through the economic survey. I mean, the purpose is not just that you reduce 250 pages to 50 pages so that I can study it in 1 hour, because you are not supposed to just mug up facts. There are too many graphs, there are too many tables which are available there, where you just have to get the bigger picture. That is, the purpose is only to get the bigger picture, not to mug up facts. Then every year in the economic survey there is a new pattern. There are new terms, new policies which will be announced. You might have to go search for it on the internet. You might have to study it. So if there is a good abridgment where you can see that, okay, these things are covered, I am not able to miss anything, nothing wrong with it. But budget is something which you have to study more conceptually, not and it's a relatively small topic. While economic survey is a more deeper topic, because ultimately what you are preparing for civil service examination is Indian economy. So that is your economic survey, right? And whatever basics you are studying, the basics are the concepts which will through which you will be able to answer like 60% of the questions of economy, if I'm not wrong. Again, there also I took one of the examples, like they asked for inflation index bonds last year. That was a particular question. Now I'm saying this because when I tried to answer the question, there was a fact which I was not aware. I had to look it up, but there was a fact which was wrong. So I was actually able to answer the question in spite of that, because they had simply given the statement that the gains on the interest and capital gains on inflation index bonds are not taxable. Now, if you know, then the last finance minister, Arun Jaitley Sahab, he had introduced long-term capital gains, which had earlier been removed from mutual funds. So now this answer may come to you through multiple things. You might be simply an aspirant who has gone through the budget, who has somewhere studied this, that okay, people have objected to this, why are you introducing this tax again? You might be a mutual fund investor, that's why you know about this. Or you might be someone who is extra curious, that's why you knows about this. So there is an element of IQ and general knowledge involved. So it's not necessary that the 100 questions are coming through only through what you have studied in the last year. You might be able to relate to something which you have studied years back, or something which you have been doing in your routine life, right? So so that is one thing again which I would like to emphasize. And after economy, I would say that science and technology is again one aspect where they ask a fair number of questions. You can put it in science and technology or environment, whichever place you feel like it is where you want to put it. Again, the reference material there has to be good. There are many magazines. There are you will have to choose, like which magazine do I want to study. And here I would like to suggest the aspirants that have a good group. Have a group of 3 or people who you know are who are smart, who are good at scoring, and who you have a good connection with. What I used to do is, for example, we had a group of 4 people, and each of us used to pick a different source of current affairs. We used to go through it completely in one day, and then we would spend half a day sharing with each other what we have studied. So the purpose was, that everybody gets to know everything and nobody misses anything, because time is again a constraint. I mean, time is a constraint, plus there is a limit to which you want to exhaust your brain on something which is so trivial. Like, say for example, I expect, say, 10 questions from science and tech, particularly science and tech, if you say. Now, for 10 questions, I'm not going to study, 400 pages every month. That's not a good strategy. So what I would do is I would divide it among my friends who are preparing with me. Each of us will study, say, I'll pick up a material of a particular coaching institute. He will pick up a particular magazine. Someone else will pick up another magazine. different sources, internet
Right.
is there, the coaching institutions are there, and just share with each other so that you all are confident that, okay, I have, completed my preparation on this particular topic. The same
Right.
goes with,
Right.
the same goes with environment, that which has gained importance in the last 5 or 7 years, I would say, because of the forest services examination, plus obviously because of the, the activism which has been there across the world.
I think
So
this is a very good strategy. Student will be really benefited with this strategy.
yeah, so this was my basic take on the subjects which I would like to say. Now I would like to move on to the second part, like particularly preparing for prelims. So based on the questions which I saw last year, I would say 2 months is an ideal time when you switch to the prelims mode. I mean, again, I'm saying this because ultimately the only thing which goes in the mind is mains examination. So objective examinations are little bit different. You just have to remember that it's held for the sole purpose of elimination. There might be like 5 lakh candidates writing the examination, and they have to select like 15 to 20,000 people for the mains examination. So you have to keep it in mind that it is for elimination. And so for preparation, the first thing is time. I would say 2 months. If you are in your second or third attempt, I believe 1 or 1.5 months, you can manage that. Again, here the first step, whatever conventional thing you have studied, be thorough with it, revise it completely. That will give you confidence, and that will help you answer at least 50% of whatever you are answering. That will be because of your, the conventional studies which you have done. Then the third thing which I would like to mention here is, now comes the part of the test papers or the test series. So the first thing I would expect when you're writing a test, you definitely should do this because it puts you in a mode of examination. You have studied a lot of things. There is no end to the syllabus, and there is absolutely no way that anybody can prepare, say that, okay, I 100% padhai kar li hai, this is my 100%. The first thing you have to remember is that you always perform at your 90%, your 95%. There is no 100%, and you just expect that to be good enough. Okay. So the first expectation while writing whatever test you are writing is, learn time management, because you have to answer 100 questions. So you should be, your mind should automatically be very clear that, all right, I have, say, slightly over 1 minute for a particular question, and whatever time I'm saving in an easy question, I would like to invest in a question which is difficult. And overall, on an average, I will try to balance so that there is no possibility that I am not able to see a question, or I'm answering it wrong just because I did not have enough time. So I will come to that further. I mean, in a bit detail, because you have 2 hours, you have to answer 100 questions. So I had my own strategy, which I would like to inform. It might suit somebody, it might not suit somebody. You can, I mean, the aspirants can decide it themselves. The second thing which you have to look for in a test series is variety of questions. It should not be, I do not expect a test paper to be informative. I am very clear about it. It should not be, that, all right, by writing this question paper, I will be very confident in geography. Or by writing this test paper, I am very confident that I have covered all the information about environment. That is not what my expectation is from a test paper is. My expectation is very clear that I should be, it should make me dynamic enough so that if I get 2 questions of economy, then a question of history, then 2 questions of, geography, and then 3 questions of environment, my mind should be able to, be clear enough, be stable enough so that I can switch from topic to topic, and I should be able to easily recall. I should not be hung up, and I should not get nervous with that. So this is a must for any test series which is supposed to be good, which is supposed to prepare you, that there should be a variety. Even if you see the question papers of last years, they will not give you more than 2 or 3 question papers from a single topic in a series. They will always put it at different places, because that is how they want to test you, whether you have come with an open mind or you have come that, okay, I know these facts, somehow I have to put them here. So then one thing I believe that before the examination, you should not try to try to remember facts. You try to relax. Whenever you write a test paper, this will prepare you for further examination also. Try to relax and don't try to force to remember something which you might not actually require in the examination. Then only your brain works. That is how our brain works. So if your mind is free, okay, I have studied it somewhere. If I see it, I'll be able to recollect. Because in prelims, you don't have to generate an answer out of yourself. You just have to see and you have to evaluate whether it is true or false what has been asked of you. So it's an exam of recollection. So recollection can only happen when your brain is relaxed, when you are thoroughly relaxed and your brain is empty. Then only facts will come to you. So don't try to stress yourself. Try to be I would say playful. Try to think of it as a game, that okay, I have 2 hours, I have to write question papers, and gradually try to improve. Don't get disheartened if initially the results are not as good. Then one thing I do not want to expect from test series is please do not expect an exact replication of questions. Like, okay, 10 questions were from this test series, 15 questions were from this test series. The facts might be related. I'm not saying that it may not happen, but the purpose should not be that okay, 5 questions isme se aa jayenge. So it might be similar. If it comes, I mean, kudos to people who are able to do it. But I'm saying that as an aspirant, that should not be the first expectation. So that was in brief about the test series. And finally, I would like to talk about what was the experience writing the prelims examination, and how, in my opinion, an aspirant should behave inside an examination hall. So the first thing, as I said, have an open mind. Be playful that you are going to write one of the best examinations in the world, and you are going to read a very new book in the 2 hours. So the first thing is that see how many questions are there. It's occasional, but they keep you guessing. I mean, it did not happen in GS, but I saw it in CSAT that all of a sudden in my third attempt there were 75 questions. We were expecting 80, and actually that was because they had made a few questions difficult. So so the time management, it became difficult because I had not seen that. Though ultimately it did not affect the result, but it was a surprise. So just see how many questions are there. You should be knowing that, all right, I have this much time for a particular question. And my approach was that there are people who they try to see, okay, how many questions I can answer in one round. Then they go to second round. Then they might have a third round. The way I used to write my prelims examination was like 30 minutes for 25 questions. I would try to do first 25 questions as soon as possible. If I believe that there is a question which I might have to take a calculated guess, I would mark it that, okay, it might be a calculated guess. And if I am able to save time, say 10 minutes, I have saved 10 minutes, then I would like to see which of the questions I can answer to the best of my abilities. Then I will move to the next 25 questions in the next 30 minutes. That was my approach. And within those 30 minutes, then you try to balance, like allotting on an almost equal interval of time to each question. Then the second thing was that whenever you write a test series, try to assess how many questions you are guessing and what is your accuracy. That is very important, because there will be questions which you believe that, all right, I know the answer, this is absolutely correct. There will be questions where you are thinking that probably this is the answer, you are taking a calculated guess. And if you are attempting too less, then there are people who are tempted, that, okay, I'll take a wild guess. Or maybe you are confident that, okay, I have answered 80 questions, which I think are absolutely correct. So even if I have to take a blind guess, I'll take it. So based on the cutoff, you should try to have a fair assessment of this. If I'm not wrong, the cutoff usually lies around 52, 53 questions, which has been in the last few years. So when I was making an attempt, I was my strategy was that I will try to attempt around 80 questions at least. And when I'm guessing, I was thinking that say around, I can make around 20 calculated guesses. Around 60 questions will be where I'll be confident that probably this is the right answer. Now, assuming that someone is very accurate that 60 आपने सोचे कि सही है और 60 सही निकल गए, और 20 आपने गेस किए और आपकी किस्मत खराब है और सारे गलत हो गए, so even in that case, like 1/3 is the negative marking, you will have 53 to 54 questions in your favor. So you are probably over the qualifying line. But usually it does not work that way. You might not be right everywhere where you have thought, and you might not be wrong everywhere you have thought. So again, it balances itself. And overall, this seemed a fair strategy. It was not about attempting 100 questions for me. That might be a strategy for some people. It works for some people. But I believe more in calculated guesses than random guesses. If you are absolutely blind about a question, you should attempt that question only in a scenario where you are simply not able to attempt questions, because there has to be a decent number of attempts too. So that was my approach during the examination. And I believe that one should always have an error margin. Once you have written the examination, relax. By evening or latest by tomorrow morning, you will have the the answers with you, because most of the people have got very smart about it. Newspapers mein aa jata hai, everywhere it is available, and everyone is fairly accurate, but there is a percentage of error. So what I would suggest is that try to do good enough so that you have a 10 to 20% margin. So say for example, you are expecting the cutoff to be around 105, 108. So if you are getting around, say, 115 or 120 marks, then you can be fairly certain that, all right, even if there were 3 or 4 questions which were answered wrong by the, entity through which I verified my answers, still I shall be over the line. And one very important thing is that you should not take more than a day for rejoicing in your success of prelims. If you believe that, all right, I have 99%, I have definitely qualified the examination, try to rest for a day and then forget about it, because the only purpose was to survive the elimination. You have survived it. So now you should move on to mains examination. This happens with aspirants. It happened with me also. And it affected my preparation for mains in the first attempt. So that is something I definitely emphasize upon.
Sometimes students wait for the prelim examinations result and then they start working on it. So that's not the right approach. Yeah,
that's not the right approach, because you will definitely you will be able to know how much you have done. So earlier, in my first attempt, even I was hesitant to check the answers, but I believe that it is a fair approach. It gives you a fair idea that okay, how am I doing in the examination? If I am qualifying, it's all right. I'll go and start preparing for the mains. There you don't get much time. There is 3.5 months, and it passes away like anything, because there is a lot to study. There is a lot to have on your fingertips so that you can produce it in the examination. And this was my basic about the prelims approach. The last thing which I would like to tell the aspirants is that have time for leisure. Your brain needs to relax. There should be a balance. I mean, for example, when I was preparing, I used to study for 12 hours, 12 to 13 hours. That was my study time. Of some 1.5 hours for newspapers. Then for general studies, I had mathematics as my optional, so it took a larger chunk of my time. But you should always sit with your friends, talk about whether it is the studies or anything else, and you should always give you some time to relax also, to take a break, so that you are ready to accommodate new things. You are fresh enough. I mean, if you can go continuously, and again, it's a personal decision, but I believe that at least once a week you should have a few hours dedicated to yourself, so that you can relax and refresh yourself. Right. Thank you very much, sir, for your thoughts. And before going for the Q&A session, I would like to have a small poll here, so that we can have opinion from the students and aspirants about few of the smallest questions which are based on the discussion that we had. And
Yeah, there is the poll in front of you, all the aspirants. Please try and attempt that. Based on that, I mean, this poll will be there on the screen for maybe 3 minutes. There are 4 questions. So one question for maybe 30 seconds. Let me read it out for you. How many questions should one attempt to find qualifying number? Since the exam has a negative marking. So sir already, suggested his strategy. You can also, think about it.
The next one is how to memorize events. Okay. Again, as I said, I mean, there are the facts are quite a lot. So
Yes.
as I said, I mean, have a good group and try to cover as much as you can. Take 3 or 4 good sources and then share with each other, but don't spend more than a couple of days on this. You can do it in a couple of days.
And the third one is, should we wait for the prelim result to prepare for the mains exam? That has also been,
Absolutely
discussed.
No.
No.
that would be a blunder.
And the fourth question is, should we take mock test series?
Absolutely yes. I believe that it gives you a lot of confidence because when I was preparing, there were isolated test series. There were pockets of preparation. It was in Delhi, it was in Chennai, it was in Hyderabad. But
yes,
nowadays you can have all India test series. You can know where you stand. I mean, again, one thing you have to keep in mind is that here prelims is for elimination. This is very different from other objective examinations such as IIT JEE or something else, because here everything is about your survival. So if you are doing a fairly well on an all India test series, you are most likely to qualify. There is no harm with that, but you should have a targeted approach as to what you expect from a test series.
Correct. So participants, based on your participation, you will be given one participation certificate from Wiley, and there is one feedback form which is also shared in the chat box. I request you all to please fill that feedback form. By feedback, we want to know your opinion on the current webinar and the thoughts and your experience with this webinar. And also we want to know the topic of the next webinar so that we can provide you some thoughts and we can give you some guidance based on those webinar topics. So I really appreciate you all and I expect that you will write your topics for the next webinar. All right, so I think we have a lot of questions from the students and the aspirants. So let me start taking those questions for you, sir. So what are the common mistakes that we should avoid while taking the test? This has been asked by Nikhil Dhar. Okay. What are the common mistakes? Yes.
The common mistakes are, first of all, there is a tendency to get confused with close options. It has happened, and it gets eliminated with the test series itself. There are facts which get distinguished only when you write an objective examination. I'll give an example. When I was taking my first attempt, there was a fact like whether union territories have legislative assemblies, or they asked something related to that. So I got confused. Eventually, I marked the wrong answer. Again, luckily I was not on the wrong side of the wrong side of the board, but it happens. I mean, that is the first thing which I would like to say. The second thing is that always keep note of your time. You should never be complacent. It's the time is never enough, and just for that, I mean, my approach was like divided in small pockets, 30 minutes, 25 questions. That was my approach. And I mean, people have different approach. Say, for example, someone is very good at history, so he might go on attempting all the history questions first. But what I personally do not appreciate it, because you will have to look for questions, because it's always sparsely scattered through the question paper. So my approach is that take the test series, which gives you enough options to jump from one subject to other very fast. And I mean, it's like, flowing through the examination. You can understand it that way, that I have come with a certain facts for which I am confident enough that as and when needed, I will be able to recollect them and just flow through the examination. See the facts which are given there. Don't think about anything else, and definitely keep a note of your time. That is one thing which is very important.
That is the key, right? I hope, Nikhil, you have got your answer. So the next question is from Nishchay. He's asking, is it possible to crack UPSC examination without coaching?
I'll just say one thing, that if I can clear the examination, anybody can clear the examination. And the only thing which they test you for is your persistence and nothing else. Because everybody, I mean, the exam itself is so long, depending upon your abilities, you might be 2 hours behind someone or 2 hours ahead of someone. So there is no hard and fast rule that you definitely need a coaching. Personally, during my first attempt, I took coaching for general studies, but again, I went for 2.5 months, and in the next 2 attempts, I did not take any coaching when the subjects had actually, the syllabus had changed. So they definitely do not expect you to mandatorily attend coaching institutions, but you will have to put in a lot of effort and cover each and every topic. And even if you do attend coaching institutions, please do not be limited to that, because that is just to give you a feel of what you have to study and what you have to skip. It's not an end in itself. If you are not unique enough in your answers, you might qualify the prelims, but it will be difficult for you in mains.
Correct. Right, sir. So the next question is from Ashwini. And the question is, if you can advise and you can suggest your timetable to the students, it may be useful for them.
Okay, I was very clear.
Yes.
I was very clear about it. The first thing is that I never left exercising. I had a schedule for exercise, because you have to maintain physical fitness. Unless you are fit, you cannot be able to deliver even if you get selected. So that is something which I believe they definitely want a part of your personality. I had 12 to 13 hours study time, out of which 45% of my time went for mathematics, and around 1.5 hours, 10% maybe, I spent for newspapers. The remaining time was for general studies, for the 6 or 7 subjects which we have. So I was studying that. Apart from that, the current affairs part, like I used to study Yojana, or I used to study, whatever magazine I'm going through. So not more than 1 day. Again, I learned this from another aspirant. I used to, read 1 article or 2 at a time, but he said that, why are you doing this? You are wasting your time. So I started doing it in 1 day, and it was definitely possible.
Right. So the next question is also related to health that you have suggested, but it is related to mental health. So Nishchay wanted to ask, like, how to handle mental pressure while preparing for the UPSC examination.
Keep alive your hobbies. That's what I would say. Like, I like literature, so I used to read. I used to listen to poetry. I used to watch movies, not very frequently, but maybe once a week I would watch something just to ease off my mind, so that it eases the pressure a bit. It makes you comfortable.
Right. And the next question is from Nikhil again. He's asking if an average student can clear the UPSC examination.
As I said, if I can clear, anybody can clear the examination. There is nothing about average. I mean, see, the only thing is that if usually, I mean, the way, we classify this in our society, that, okay, this is an average, this is an extraordinary student. The only difference is that an average student will study something in 10 hours, an excellent guy can study it in 6 hours. But eventually, both of them will be able to do it. So it's not like, an average guy cannot clear it.
And the next question is also related to it, like average. The person, Dhanush has asked, like, a person having average knowledge of English, can he crack it?
Yes, I mean, there are, I would not say that it's not a challenge for him, because in my second attempt, the syllabus of civil services was changed. So when I tried to, I tried to find most of the materials on internet. luckily I was able to find it through some research papers, through some universities or something else. So this is a fact that the material is more readily available for the English guys. So it will be a challenge. The newspapers or the magazines in Hindi are not as good as they should be. They are not definitely not close to the the administrative language. So it is a challenge, but again, as I said, that it's not impossible. You still can do it. There is no issue about it.
Right. And what are your suggestions and tips for the working professionals? There are many people who are working in different capacities, in different maybe in different jobs. So if you have any tips and tricks for them.
See, first, the general tip which I would like to say is that everybody should focus on his own strength. If a guy is not working, he definitely has more time to study a wide range of subjects. If you are a working professional, I would say try to be more targeted. Again, it's not like you cannot do it. Whether you are studying conventional things or the dynamic things like current affairs or something else, try to be more targeted. You might not be able to study as many reference books. So someone who is giving full-time preparation, someone who is devoting full time for his preparation, if he is choosing 2 books, you might have to choose 1 book which just might be good enough for you to clear the examination. But it can be done. I mean, one of my batchmates, he's in customs services. He was working in Bangalore in a private firm, and he cleared it in his first attempt. He started preparing in February, and he was still through the exam. So there is nothing wrong about it that you cannot do it.
Right. Thank you. And there is one more question related to UPSC prelim examination. It is about the elimination technique. So what is the elimination technique, and how can it be useful for us?
Yeah, see, the elimination technique, I mean, you are asking with respect to the question papers, or
yes.
So with respect to the question papers, with respect to the question papers, I would say that it's not as similar to other competitive examinations like IIT JEE, where it might be relatively different. But again, as I gave an example, say for example, abhi maine inflation index bonds ka ek example diya tha.
Yes,
so
yes.
I knew about the facts number 2 and 3, and I knew that 3 was wrong. So based on that, I was able to eliminate 3 options and answer the correct option. So it is possible. It will happen with you in maybe 10% of the questions, where you will be able, you have only partial information, but you are still able to answer the question confidently and correctly. So it will happen. And again, be open to it. Just when you are answering the questions, if you say, for example, you read the statements which have been given to you, because most of the questions are like that. You have 3 or 4 statements, and then they ask you like which of these are correct or which of these are not correct. So do see the options. Like first of all, you must see what has been asked of you. Then you read the statements, and then you see whether you are able to answer it or not. You might be able to answer it even on being partially informed.
Right. So maybe the last question I can take, it is related to CSAT examination. So CSAT test. So how to prepare for it, and what is the time limit for it? How much time we should devote to it?
See, the importance has relatively decreased, because now it is only a qualifying paper. It's not counted in your qualification. I mean, in exact whatever marks you are able to obtain. But I would like to say that a few reference books, not much, because as I said, I mean, the timing should be proportional to the weightage which the examiner is giving to it. And if I'm not wrong, you have to attain probably 33% or 35% of the marks. So to answer 35 questions in 2 hours should not be that difficult. You can identify whatever is your strength, whether you are good at quantitative aptitude or whether you are good at comprehension skills. and you first focus on those things. You have ample time to qualify for the examination. Don't go about
Right.
it that, okay, my friend has answered 75, so I will also try to answer 75. There is no need, because ultimately all that matters is whether you have qualified or not.
Right. Thank you. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Abhishek sir, for sharing your knowledge and giving us your valuable time. And thank you everyone for joining. And I really wish you all the best for your examination. And I believe that the suggestions and tips and techniques that been shared by Abhishek sir must be useful to you. And we will get back to you with another webinar with another topic. Meanwhile, I would request you to please fill that feedback form, and we are also going to have mock test series as per the suggestion that Abhishek sir has given. We have already prepared one mock test series which is going to happen on 19th of March, and it is completely free of cost. Like this webinar, you can take the test, and you can understand and you can check your level of knowledge for the UPSC prelim examination. So it is totally focusing upon UPSC prelim examination, and I invite you all to participate and take the test and understand what is your level of knowledge related to different subjects. We have also created it in a way that it should give you a complete exam-like environment. And the most important part of it is online test, so you can take it from any website, any device, maybe computer or laptop, and you can take it from your home. Right. So information will be given and in your mail IDs. You can register it and you can get all the information related to it. And the link is there in the chat box as well. You can refer to it. You can click and you can register. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I am really delighted to interact with you. I'm very happy to have you here with Wiley.
Thank you.
And thank you
so much.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much.